Well, look at what we got here. Tiger 900 GT Pro. What do you think? It's a good looking bike. And let me tell you what it's like to ride. And how it compares to the T12, or the Tiger 1200 to you and me. But it's a bit impromptu. My bike was in for a service and I wasn't expecting a Tiger 900 as a loaner. So this is a bit higgledy-piggledy. So I might be jumping from pillar to post a bit. For a start, it's got a regular key. That in my book is an absolute plus. Fantastic. Switch gear, heated handlebar grips, everything same as the Tiger 1200. Clutch is now cable instead of hydraulic. It's a slip assist clutch, and I have to say it's very light, so no worse than the Tiger 1200, that's fine. Quick shifter works identical to the Tiger 1200. I can't tell any difference at all. I've always found it good on the Tiger 1200. It's perfectly good on this as well, just the same. It's quite svelte looking at the back, I have to say, good looking. Same LED indicators as the Tiger 1200 on my bike, which is a 2018. The Brembos, exact same Brembos on the front. They're working very well. And the bike is a little bit more compact. When you're sitting on it, you do feel you haven't got so much frontal area, which of course you haven't. But you can kind of feel that when you're on it, but that's just kind of a difference, because I just jumped off my Tiger 1200 onto this at the dealer while mine's in for a service. Mirrors are great, you can see a lot through those. Changing this windscreen, yeah, easy peasy. I'd need to do something about that if I had this for a longer journey. A lot of wind noise on the head, definitely need earplugs. I'd put some sort of lip on here, definitely, to try and put that wind blast over my head, but I think that would be an easy thing to do. Initially, I saw this dinner plate of a screen and thought, Jesus, that's a bit over the top. I thought it looked a bit big, but when it's on, it's not the whole screen you're getting, so it's actually, it looks much better. It actually looks more in proportion with the bike once the screen's on, so that's nice. Rear grabs, everything like that, rear rack space, all very chunky, really nice quality. This is the GT Pro, so it's the road-based one, with alloy wheels, heated seats front and back, same as the Tiger, well on my Tiger anyway. Power outlet, which is probably going to be 5 amp. There's another one at the front here, which is probably our 10 amp one, which will be permanently wide. Yeah, that whole frontal area is less of an impact. Those front lights are quite small. Beaks are similar sort of size really, I suppose. So altogether a more compact bike, as you expect it really. But I have to say, that engine, yeah, people talking about the vibrating and stuff, that vibrating at higher speeds. Do you know what? I don't see it myself. I don't see it. I'd be the first to criticise the bike if it, you know, if there was something wrong with it. There is a bit of vibration, actually all the way through the rev range, but it's so unintrusive and tiny, and when you get up to speed on the motorway, I've just come back round through the motorway, sitting there at 120, there's no uncomfortableness of vibration through the handlebars, the seat, pegs, anything. I would ignore reports about high-speed vibration or high rev vibration. It's inconsequential, I have to say. But you can really feel that engine design. It's like riding a V-twin at low revs. It is actually. I was kind of a bit skeptical, I'll be honest with you, but it's a great feeling. It's a lovely feeling. I'm quite surprised. I am quite surprised with that. I'm sure I'm not the first person to have said that. So, yeah, pulls like a train. A lot less wind protection than the 1200, but I do think you could do something with that top lip on that screen to push the wind over your hair, over your head. Of course, it's chain driven, so there's the big difference between the Tiger 1200 and the 900. Again, having a chain doesn't bother me too much. It doesn't bother me too much. There is the convenience of the shaft drive, but you pay for that shaft drive and weight, of course. But you know, look, that's the price you pay if you want to go down a 900. You gain a chain, you lose a shaft drive. I need to check where the seat position is in this. I'm quite short in the leg, 29-inch leg. Although I'm 6 foot, I have a 29-inch leg, and I've had to actually lower my Tiger 1200 because I'm a bit tippy-toes on it. I got on this straight away, no problem at all. I think definitely if I went for a 900 at some stage in my life, I would probably go for this road-based version, the GT version, rather than the rally version. Although I think the rally version looks lovely, I do like spokes. I think the seat to ground ratio is probably more important to someone like me. And look what they've done with the front damping. So the electronic damping, it's a similar selection to what you get in the Tiger 1200 from the joystick. And your rider modes have different damping settings, obviously on that rear shock. But you can customize those or disassociate that damping with rider modes like you can on the T1200 again. So you can just choose a level of damping you want all the time, regardless of rider mode. But they've put easy adjusters for the preload on the front, not the preload, I beg your pardon, the damping on the front shocks. So there's no preload adjustment on the front, same as the Tiger 1200, but they've put the little adjusters on here for the damping. So what I would say, when you're looking for that soft rear, it's dead easy. And I have to admit, I did this on the fly. It's dead easy. With your gloved finger to change the damping on the front while you're at it. So I've pushed this over all the way fully firm, and I've ridden it all the way fully soft. And yeah, it makes quite a big difference. And again, I'd say that to every owner, don't just leave that in the factory position. Put it fully one way, go out for a test ride. Put it fully the other way, go out for a test ride. Get a feeling for the two extremes, and then find somewhere that you like. And then of course, if you're going to tune up with loads of luggage and stuff like that, you'll probably need a little bit more damping to control that load. But what I'm saying is, it's quite easy. Well, it's very easy to change the damping on the front. So a minor inconvenience that you're losing, but then, you know, you're paying less for the bike. That gear shift looks a bit cheap, I will say. It's hard to tell whether this bike's going to be super comfortable on that actual seat without having this for a day or two. I've only got it for a few hours while my bike's in for a service for its 3-year service. So, but do you know, I get the feeling, I bet it's the same technology as the seat they've got in the T1200. And I feel like it's going to be a very, very comfortable seat. I don't know whether that's in the low or the high position. I'll have a look at that. My hips were fine with the seat to peg ratio. I wouldn't be mad on this gap here now. It doesn't have the visual impact, the visual presence of the 1200. It's not quite so imposing, but then, you know, it is kind of leading the proportions all around. So that's an observation you can see kind of, you know, really, really easily. That whole front end is kind of a bit shrunk. Those lights are small, the screen is small, the bodywork around the tank is a bit more live. Still a great look. I'm just pointing out the differences, not saying the negatives, you know. So one of the first things that grabs you when you jump on this off the Tiger, the ergonomics are great, nice foot to seat ratio and everything like that. So I don't feel more cramped on this bike. The bars are a little bit closer to you, that's for sure, which is great for me because I have slightly shorter arms anyway. So the bars are a bit closer to you, but it's marginal. So I like the seating position and all that sort of stuff. That works well for me. It's got great low end pull round these country lanes here. I'm really enjoying the bike around these country lanes. It's goes around the corners great. In terms of agility and all that sort of stuff. I don't mind these tyres. These tyres are giving good feedback. I liked them when they were new on the Tiger 1200, but I didn't like them when they wore. So hopefully these turrets next wear a bit differently on this bike, and maybe they will because it's a bit lighter. But they feel great in the wet. I have no problem, pushing on a bit with this. The low end pull, it's a real V-twin grunt sort of thing. There is that different firing order. It really does actually make a bit of a difference. It gives a great little pull at the low end. Okay, what's a Tiger 1200 owner going to see when he switches on his Tiger 900? Good afternoon. Fuel low, okay. So if you're used to the Tiger 1200 screen, oh, that's really flipping around, isn't it? If you're used to the Tiger 1200 owners will find the screen easy enough to get around because the switch gear is all the same. It does look different and all that sort of stuff, but it's easy enough to suss out. I'm going to see if I can change this to a black screen though, because I can see this flicking away on my phone like mad, so that's better. So similar thing, you press the home button and you get to your riding modes, and you can go into your riding modes and see what your ABS, and it's okay, ABS is set for road, throttle map is set for road. So all of these things, traction control, all of these things are exactly the same that you get in the Tiger 1200. And so this is the rear damping setting, the same as we have it on the Tiger 1200. And just only to note though, you are only affecting the rear shock in this instance. But usual thing, you can set it up directly here in the actual rider mode. And there's an off-road setting too, in the same way there is in the T1200. I'll reset that back to the default because this is a demo bike. I don't want to muck it up for the next person. Okay, so you can go through all of those rider modes in the exact same way. You do with the Tiger 1200. So if you're thinking of going for the 900, you'll get along with this screen very quickly. Visible trays, same thing. What do I want to see in my visible trays? And I have some styles here. Okay. I can see my styles in my visible tray. Look, that's exactly the same as the T12. You can take stuff on and off your visible tray to declutter your screen if you want to. Okay, we've got the famed Bluetooth stuff, which we don't get on the Tiger 1200. Whether it'll ever come to it, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. That's better. You can see a bit better there. That's actually nice. I think I'd just leave like that all the time actually. Auto, high contrast or low contrast. So that's nice, you can fix that. That's something you can't do on the Tiger 1200. So that's nice. Okay, this screen, you've got nice temperature display, nice fuel display, easy to see the neutral light, easy to see the speed. The wingy rev thing's a bit stupid really. It'd be nice if they recreate an old-fashioned double tacho sort of look to it. That'd be nice. Okay, service stuff, fuel, range. Preload, this is a big change. Where it's automatic on the Tiger 1200 with the position sensor on the back, you have to choose it yourself in this instance. So you've got to go rider, rider plus passenger, rider plus luggage, rider, passenger and luggage. So that's not an upgrade. That is really just, okay, it's great because you do have rear electronic suspension. It's great, the adjustments there, and it's electronic. But that's not an upgrade of the T12. The T12 automatically measures that for you and sets the preload accordingly. So that's something a bit different. Okay, this is all the messaging stuff with the Bluetooth and the phone connections. No GoPro connections and the likes of that. It's all very nice. That's about it. So it's a screen that is very straightforward to understand. Very straightforward. And so any Tiger 1200 owner will get to grips with this real quick. Okay, the USB port is underneath this flap here. It's got a rubber seal around it. Fairly thin. It's fairly thin. So, but you can get your phone in there, leave it on charge with you probably need a short enough cable. There's not a huge amount of room in there, but that's great because the USB port on the Tiger 1200 is kind of around here and it's exposed a little bit. I mean, it does have a cap, but it is exposed to the elements a bit. Bit more protection here, so that's nice. That's very nice. Nicely thought out. Okay, it's a catch. So push down, push up. So when you get this bike, don't yank the shit out the top. It's a push to release and push to push down. Very good. Let's have a look. Heated seat, yeah, grand. Okay, this arrangement's a bit different. This looks like it might be the seat height stuff. And, oh, locks for panniers. Toolkit, OBD connection. So it's nice and clean under there. Battery's going to be under here, of course. That's very nice. That's very nice the way that access to all the fuses, relays, stuff like that. Battery. That's very nice the way that works. Very clean. That's really nice. Again, just thought and effort. Thought and effort into a Triumph. Because it's Triumph, okay? Okay, I can't stop that shot because it's Triumph, okay? Yeah, I'm not mad on this gap. I've got to see though if the seat's going on correctly because that doesn't look great. Now I've just adjusted the seat to the other position and there is a little bit of adjustment there. And I have to say, oh God, can't ruin the old demo bike. Yeah, I'm gonna have a look at that seat again. So I've just put the seat in the high position, so that's a bit more flat there. There's a bit of adjustment, about 20-25 mil, something like that. And it's great actually because that's just given me a tiny bit more room to the peg. That's nice, a bit more comfortable on the hips. And I can still completely flat foot it on this, completely. So I think the seat height is much lower on the GT and the GT Pro than the spoke models, than the rally models. And you know, if I ever thought I was going to look at a 900, if I thought I was going to buy a 1200 again, I'd buy the low model for my legs, So I thought if I ever bought a 900, I'd buy the low model. But having ridden this 900 now, the normal model, I don't think you'd have to go for the low model. So the low model of this must really be a low model. But as standard, this is really comfortable. I'd definitely go for this over the rally. I do like the spokes of a rally, but I'd definitely go for this over the spokes of a rally, just for that seat height. Because I ended up lowering my 1200, only by 20 mil, but in fact the 1200 with the seat in the lower position, I wouldn't have had to lower it, but it just put an excess strain, if you like, on my hips, but it's only because I'm an old man. So that's perfect, that's absolutely perfect. Similar sort of room on the rear pillion, for the rear pillion. No need to think that's any less uncomfortable. And I think they do have the pannier pillion foot peg ratio sorted out a lot more than the Tiger 1200. So if you were going for this from a 1200, yeah, I don't think you'd be disappointed. You know, if you decided you're just going to go solo stuff now, then you're not going two up all the time. Having said that, the two up capability of this, the load capacity of this bike is superb. It's not much less than a Tiger 1200. But you know, I'll never compare the two and say one's better than the other. They're different. Then it's not about being better than the other. they're different. You know, the TFT, you're just getting used to a new TFT. You know, I bet most owners who have got electronic suspension leave it in a kind of a setting they enjoy most, and they don't fiddle with it too much. So not having the electronic suspension adjustment up front, although it'd be nice, it would. It's not a biggie, it's not a biggie. It obviously feels more nimble getting it out the garage and stuff like that. It does. It is a lighter bike. But when you're on the road, you also know it's a lighter bike. You do know that. I can't say it's super nimble compared to the 1200, because the 1200 is a nimble bike once you're on the road. So it's not some lug of a bike. So it is a nimble bike, it is lighter, but then the 1200 was never not a nimble bike, if you know what I mean. So if you were coming from a 1200 to this, I don't think you'd be disappointed in the load carrying capacity. It is less, but not much less. I don't think you'd be disappointed in the acceleration. I don't think you'd be disappointed in the comfort. You'll want to do something with that screen. If you have your 1200 sorted for cover, you'd want to do something with that. And it could be something as simple as a lip on top. It could be something as simple as that. You're not going to get quite the same amount of protection on the top, but it won't be bad. If you're a summer rider, you won't care. Overall, a really good looking bike. I don't think it looks great in white, mind. My 1200 is white, and I think it looks nice. I think this would look better with a colour on it. But other than that, that'd be my only gripe. I think that looks a bit cheap. My OCD would make me put something in there. I think that looks a bit cheap. That's the only thing that's the only thing I could think of. Cruise works brilliantly on it. Exactly the same way as the Tiger 1200. Switchgear is exactly the same. I don't think a Tiger 1200 owner would be disappointed with this at all. As I say though, I'm not saying just because it's a newer bike you should downgrade, because it is a downgrade. Just have to see what happens with the new Tiger 1200A. But if you went to this from a 1200, you wouldn't be disappointed. You'd love it. You'd absolutely love it. That engine, it is nice actually. It is nice. Forget the vibration. It's of no consequence. I'd have this bike. Definitely have this bike. Exhausts are regular on this. Doesn't seem to be any arrow. That rear caliper seems to have gone Brembo over. It's probably I think it's a Nissan on the Tiger 1200. That's one thing I don't know. I might look that up. I don't know whether the brakes are linked on this. There's linked brakes on the Tiger 1200, which I really love. I hardly ever touch the rear brake pedal. Again, I think this looks a little bit cheap, but then the bike is a much lower cost bike. The engine's a stormer though. It's an absolute bloody stormer. Yeah. Brembos look identical. Marzocchi front shocks. Front forks, I beg your pardon. Marzocchi front fork. Yeah, look. Fantastic. I've had the preload adjuster, probably compression and damping, one on either side. I've had those fully on and fully off. And you can tell the difference, and it does make a lovely difference. So I would go up and down the road with this thing fully plush on the rear and fully plush on the front, and then vice versa, fully hard over and fully hard on the front, and find a setting that you like, and then just disassociate the rear damping with rider modes, so you can leave your damping in a setting you prefer all the time. That's what I do. That's just a personal thing. Alloys, yeah, a bit easier for me to keep clean, but I have to say, I don't generally clean bikes. So, but I mean, as I mentioned in my last video, it's not hard to clean. There's no reason why this thing isn't going to last just as well as the T12. All the surfaces seem to be painted. So, if this is the sort of bike that sits under a cover outside in your front driveway because you haven't got a garage, I don't think it will suffer at all. Okay, those front exhausts look like they're getting a bit of battering off the road. Maybe a little extra extender there, but it's nothing serious. Here's the split radiator design, very good. Is that rectifier or something? I don't know. Engine's not quite so clean in terms of design. You know, it is a bit more of a scrappy design than the 1200, but again, you know, you're not looking at the engine, are you? It's a fabulous bike. It's an absolute fabulous bike. I heartily recommend that engine for a test drive. Do you know me though, now, I would almost go for the GT. I would almost go for the GT and not bother with the Pro with the electronic rear shock adjustment. Because now I tend to find myself adjusting the damping for what I want to do. You'll still have adjustable rebound on the rear on the GT. So if you're going anywhere loaded up or two up, you can still increase that damping at the back a bit at the start of your journey. It's no hard effort. Okay, you might lose a heated seat and stuff, but you're not going to be losing too much. You're going to be keeping the stuff you want. But if you've got the money, the GT Pro, why not? Yeah, it's a lovely bike, absolutely lovely bike. That's a mistake. That's definitely a mistake. Nobody likes that. Yeah, I've definitely got to do something about that TFT. I think I'm probably on the worst layout for it at the moment. Later on, I actually managed to do a bit of a change of colour and, yeah, just a nicer screen. I think screen 4 is the one everyone's going to use on this. It looks much better. This thing has a fair turn of speed on it. I tell you, you can. I'm in 4th here, but the pickup in 4th here on this backcountry road, yeah, effortless. This thing can. I'd say the acceleration on this is as sharp as the T12. Probably, maybe even a touch faster. Difficult to tell, but you won't be disappointed in the performance. It's no less than the T12 carrying its weight. I know it's got a lot of extra power, but it's fine in that respect. Now, see, you notice it here now at junctions like this. You can think a little bit less about pulling out. You're not kind of lugging out that big bike out of that junction, and that is a bit easier to do. You just think a bit less about it. So that's kind of quite refreshing. I probably would have taken a few more seconds and composed myself with the 1200 getting out that junction. This is just a little bit more nimble all around at slow speeds. That's for sure. Well, that was a wet ride. But you know, it coped brilliantly. It's got some awful poke. You won't be disappointed in the turn of speed or the acceleration over the 1200. That's for sure. Yeah, you'll be really delighted putting it on the centre stand. That's super easy. That's a little bit refreshing. That's nice. What else? Yeah, I don't know whether my camera came out at the time that my GoPro battery ran out. Think a little bit less about the corners, a little bit easier to go around the bends. Not terribly so, because the 1200 is light when it's moving, really, and you can change direction on it quite easy. But it's just a little bit easier again than this. Not surprisingly, you know. Look, it's a lighter bike. So if I was a 1200 owner, and I decided because for one reason or another that I was downsizing, or you know, maybe giving up my shaft drive, going to a smaller bike. I definitely don't think you'll be disappointed with the 900. You definitely won't be. But you certainly won't be comfort-wise. You certainly won't be suspension-wise. You certainly won't be power-wise. And you certainly won't be with the handling or the turn of speed. So I wouldn't worry about it if you drop down. You just got to look after that little baby down there, of course, that chain. Super bike. I don't like that single-sided headlight. And you know, a lot of owners will say, it's no big deal, you know, I'm sitting on the bike, I can't see it. But I can tell you, I had that in my Africa Twin, and all of the owners hated it universally, because we all like symmetry in our life, don't we? Well, maybe not all of us, but lots and lots and lots of Africa Twin owners hated that asymmetry. And you look at the new Africa Twins, both headlights are on. So I think that's a mistake, and I bet that gets changed in the next iteration of this bike, maybe 2 or 3 years time from now, but I bet it does get changed. So there's a lot of stuff you can put here on the visible trays: volume control, music, GoPro, SMS, call status, call history. So a lot of decluttering can go on here. So if you don't use a GoPro, you know, get rid of that, and that'll just shorten your clicks. I think Star 4 is about the best star. Can change colours. So now I did think the colouring was a bit all over the place, so that me picking that colour has subdued that a little bit. Yeah, that's nicer choosing that colour. I thought there was too much an array of colours before. It was going a bit bonkers. That's cleaned it up quite nicely. Yeah, I like that. I like that layout. I bet most people end up with that layout. And this kind of rev wingy thing is quite small here now, so that's nice. Yeah, this style is Star 4 is definitely the best. Much clearer displays. Trip 1 is your preload settings. Aha, that's what I was looking for. Okay, great. Okay, so adjusting that damping on the fly with a good visual. Excellent. Okay, so Tiger 1200 owners will be used to that. That's nice. SMS review, call history, GPS. So all of these are things you can disable from viewing these on the screen if you're not using them. Music volume, tag. I was hoping there was going to be somewhere I could change the name of the welcome. No doubt it's a dealer thing, because I was going to put welcome you tosser or something like that for the next person who test ride it. That's because I'm quite juvenile. Yeah, I thought I'd go for the matching clocks, gloves and jacket. You can see here now, I've found the ideal screen now. So I'm on layout 4, and I've kind of got rid of a lot of those colours. A lot of the icons now are kind of similar sizes. It's not quite so higgledy-piggledy, this screen. So this is a nice layout. So especially if you're using the nav, that section on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll get the bigger pictures for roundabouts and junctions and stuff like that. So if you're using the Bluetooth nav from your phone and stuff, that's probably the clearest screen that's there. Actually, when you look at your 4 screens, your styles that you get, you'll see that there's pictures of what your nav's going to look like and where it's going to appear on the screen and what your layout of the screen is, if you just look at those little icons. The quick shifter, I've mentioned this already. I know it works just as well as it does in the 1200. What I will say on the downshift, though, I did notice there's a little bit more of an auto blip in the downshift, just a little bit more. It's quite subtle in the 1200, but it's possible it's just because of the way it fires, it doesn't need it quite so much. But there's a little bit more of a blip on the downshift at low revs on this one. You know, in a good way. You know, definitely in a good way. I use the cruise here on the motorway. And the cruise works in exactly the same way. It works perfectly. It's no problem at all. It feels very planted. It feels solid. It's not a particularly windy day today, but look, I feel like the bike's kind of fairly planted on the motorway. I feel like you could go a long distance on this thing, like the T12. The position is really comfortable. It is really comfortable. I'm definitely not getting the wind protection they get on the 1200.
it's completely different, this front end. So something needs to be done with that screen. And it, as I say, it could just be something simple, an extra top lift. It just needs something to push that wind over the top of your helmet. It's quite noisy. I've said this before, I don't have the best helmet, but the wind noise is quite noisy. But look, I think that's the same for most bikes, to be honest. Lots of bikes are like this. But I think you could probably cure that with a lip, but you'd want to know for sure. So in Style 4, the information display is on the left-hand side of the screen, and it's quite a big one. And you see an example here. I'm going off down the road. It started to get a bit chilly, and I got my ice warning up here, a low temperature warning up here. So it's a nice feature. I like the TFT. That's quite a bit more in your face compared to the 1200, where you got that thin strip down the bottom. So on that it's nice, and that'll be the same for any other warning, whether it be tire pressure or anything like that, coolant temperature, that sort of thing. So anyway, back to my Tiger 1200. When you look at them side by side, or at least next to each other, you can see that the 9 doesn't have the presence that the 12 has. And I think the proportions of the 12 and the look of it, to me anyway, look a bit nicer, I will say. But look, I'm glad to get my bike back. But riding that T900, that was a cracking bike. I really did enjoy that. Right, back to reality. Yeah, traffic jams, straight out of the dealership into a traffic jam. Now, this is where I will say the 900 probably has a bit of an edge over me in the T1200 here. Look, I actually filter quite well on the Tiger 1200. It's no bother, but look, it's not what it's designed for. It's not a city commuter, and you could argue that the 900 isn't either. What I could definitely do with is the progressive clutch from the 900 in traffic like this, though, because the clutch, even though it's hydraulic, does get a bit tiresome in traffic on the 12, just because it's bite point. But hey, once I'm free in this traffic, I've forgotten all about that clutch, because I got this waiting for me. And if there was one thing I thought Triumph have misjudged or misplaced, I don't know, this is just me talking, that price for the GT Pro and the Rally Pro, that's dangerously close to the mid-range XRX Tiger 1200. And given the price differential is so narrow, I'd take that XRX 1200 all day long, every single time. I'd have to think that the 900 GT and the 900 Rally are the more cost-effective models in the 900 range. The others, the pricing is far too premium to their own models, and they might struggle with what else is out there on the market too.